Welcome to Long Short Stories. I'm your storyteller, David Davis, and tonight I present Episode 1, Memory Bank. Do you hate your job? Not as much as Mary Tricket is about to hate hers. So settle back, dim the lights, and let's begin.
We're leaving that space now, coming back into the room. There is no anxiety associated with coming back to this room. We are very comfortable, in control. This is your secret, your success. We are back in the room now, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The soothing male voice penetrates the quiet office like honey dissolving in warm tea. Dr. Michael Hugh watches over his patient with practiced calm. Middle-aged, with salt and pepper hair neatly trimmed, he wears a blue button-down shirt, no tie, and pressed slacks. His parents had migrated from Taiwan in the 70s, carrying dreams of American success that now manifested in this modest psychiatric practice. He sits in a leather chair across from Martha, who rubs her eyes as reality returns, a satisfied smile spreading across her face. The office carries the sterile comfort of professional healing spaces. The larger window looks out onto an uninspiring view of a cracked parking lot dotted with dry weeds. A thin white curtain filters the midday sun while mercifully blocking most of the dreary landscape beyond. Behind Dr. Hu's desk hang several framed documents, a Western University medical school diploma, a PhD in psychiatry, and a certificate of successful hypnotherapy training. His office space is modest, his session office, a cramped waiting area on busy days, a supply closet, and a break room with a single toilet and sink. Awkward patches in the gray carpet and useless wall connections betray the space's previous life as a dental clinic gone bust. Who has worked to soften the clinical atmosphere with the customary touches, office plants strategically placed, calming framed pictures of ocean waves breaking on distant shores, smoothed beach rocks arranged on the coffee table, and an aromatic humidifier humming and pulsing rhythmically in the corner. Martha opens her eyes fully now and wiggles upright in the recliner, releasing an awkward laugh as she maneuvers to find her bearings.
I say it every time, but I always feel so much better after these sessions. I know it's supposed to be for weight loss, but I think there are collateral benefits.
Dr. Hu remains strategically silent. Her scheduled time is nearly up, and he doesn't want to encourage idle chit-chat that might run over into his personal break time. Martha begins collecting her purse and jacket, as well as her composure, rising from the recliner to her feet. Dr. Hughes stands as well, discreetly making his way to the door.
Keep tracking your progress,
Dr. Hughes says, his hand on the doorknob, holding the door open as a subtle cue for departure. Martha crosses the threshold into the waiting room and continues talking, noticing there are no other patients waiting in the plastic chairs.
I'm at 8 pounds now. It doesn't sound like a lot, but I've never lost 8 pounds in my life. The needle on the scale only kept going up.
She makes a circular gesture with her finger.
I've been lifting weights and jogging.
She flexes her arms slightly.
I feel like $1 million.
That's excellent. I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday then.
His professional smile is warm but finite. Martha heads toward the front door of the clinic.
I'd better get going. I'll be late for work. Bye.
The door closes with a soft click, leaving Hu alone with the lingering scent of lemon from the humidifier and the distant sound of Martha's car starting in the parking lot outside. A silver Toyota Camry pulls into the employee parking space in front of the Fowler branch of Farmers Trust Bank. Martha hustles out of her car, checking her reflection in the tinted office windows as she strides toward the entrance, pushing wayward curls back into place as best she can. The midday heat radiates off the asphalt, but she feels energized rather than wilted, another small victory in her personal transformation. She slows from her hurried trot to a more composed pace as she enters the welcomed coolness of the bank lobby, her heels now clicking purposefully across polished marble that reflects the overhead halogen lights in wavering patterns. The familiar sounds of commerce surround her, the gentle hum of computers, the whispered conversations of customers conducting their financial business, the rhythmic tap-tap of keyboards. She waves with her free hand to Samantha, a young teller with long black hair and warm brown eyes, who's smiling and engaged with a customer Martha vaguely recognizes. Samantha returns the wave with a quick, professional nod before returning her attention to her transaction. Before Martha can descend into her office chair, she catches movement in her peripheral vision. Thomas Watt, the ambitious, thin, and impeccably dressed Fowler branch manager, discreetly gestures for her to come to his office. His expression carries that particular blend of administrative urgency and diplomatic caution. Thomas sits behind his desk, opening a manila file folder and scanning the papers inside for a few moments, quietly. The bank's music can be more clearly heard in his office. A song from the 1980s is playing. Familiar to Martha, a distant memory is evoked, slowly rising to coherency. Thomas points with the tip of his pen to several troubling lines of text, then looks up with the practiced smile of someone about to deliver mildly uncomfortable news.
Martha, how are you?
He asks, his tone carefully measured.
I'm doing great. I'm losing weight, so I'm feeling really good.
Her enthusiasm is genuine, a marked contrast to the unremarkable woman who had first walked into this bank weeks ago.
I thought something seemed different about you,
he says, artfully navigating around the well-known landmines of commenting on a woman's appearance. Thomas had innocently asked a customer at the Camden branch about being pregnant about 6 years ago. She wasn't, and he'd vowed never to make such a clumsy error again.
Martha, I contacted the Brunswick branch this morning, speaking again with Dorothy Grant about your HR file from the transfer. You remember our conversation from last week?
I do, yes.
Martha leans slightly forward, conveying her interest and desire to resolve whatever bureaucratic snag has emerged.
We have all the HR documents from your transfer except the biometrics file for your access card. I need to get this resolved because your temporary ID is only valid for 30 days, and that expires in less than a week.
He leans back into his chair, clicking his pen in and out between both hands.
Brunswick said they've been looking for over a week now and simply don't have a biometric entry for an employee, Martha S. Tricket.
He leans forward again, hovering over Martha's thin personnel dossier.
I'm not surprised, actually.
Martha's tone shifts from eagerness to please to something more calculated, tinged with what sounds like weary resignation and despair.
I was divorced from my husband around the time I started working at the Brunswick branch. I changed my name, changed all my house keys, my checking account, my driver's license. I probably just forgot to update it with the bank, or they have the wrong name on file.
Well, that could be something. What was your married name?
My husband's name was Wynne, so the file would be under Martha Wynne.
Well, that makes perfect sense then. I'll contact Brunswick again and have them search under Wynne. Thanks for that.
Thomas closes the folder and slides it back onto his miscellaneous pile of documents and folders, eager to move on to his next administrative hurdle. Martha returns to her desk, placing her purse in the bottom drawer and turning on her PC monitor. She logs into the Fowler branch customer service interface as compliance officer and safe deposit clerk. She'd come highly recommended from the Brunswick branch as being more than capable for either position, though the Fowler branch's tighter budget meant she wore both hats, plus occasionally handling VIP customer service, when any of their silver card or higher customers, those holding at least $1 million with the bank, came in for business. This meant maintaining the bank's VIP room, keeping the champagne-stocked mini-fridge organized, ensuring the espresso machine was clean and functional, and restocking the dry snacks that mysteriously disappeared over time. She also kept the chrome details spotless and the carpet vacuumed. The VIP lounge had been nothing more than a storage closet before Thomas converted it into a premium area for wealthy customers checking their safe deposit boxes or, ideally, making large deposits. Though in modern times, major deposits were rarely made in person, so VIP visits were mostly safe deposit customers, which fell squarely under Martha's purview. Martha takes a sip of her green tea, places the ceramic mug back on its disposable cardboard coaster, and makes her way to the ladies' room to take care of personal business before the afternoon rush begins. Martha enters into the last stall, grateful for a moment of privacy. The hypnotherapy session has left her feeling calm, almost disconnected from her usual anxieties about work performance and Thomas's administrative scrutiny. She finds herself humming softly the song she heard in his office, something she never does at work. Martha checks her watch, still plenty of time before her next appointment with Mrs. Franks about her late husband's safety deposit box. She finishes her business, washes her hands with foam from the stubborn soap dispenser, and gives herself a quick once-over in the unflattering mirror. 8 pounds lighter, and it actually shows, especially in her face, who was right about visualization and positive reinforcement, though she still couldn't shake the feeling that something about those sessions felt incomplete somehow. Like waking up from a dream you can almost but not quite remember. Martha smooths down her blouse, takes a deep breath of recycled air, and reaches for the door handle to return to her desk. The ladies' room door just cracked. Martha freezes upon hearing shouts from the lobby.
"Get on the ground. Everyone on the ground, now."
The voice shatters the afternoon tranquility, like a sledgehammer through plate glass, the words reverberating across the marble lobby with violent authority. Samantha jerks away from her customer, Mrs. Patterson, who was just complaining about her grandson's college tuition. Her eyes lock onto the source of the chaos. A thin, fit man in a black Nike baseball cap, wraparound sunglasses, and a blue surgical mask stands near the entrance, his head swiveling left and right like a predator scanning for threats. For one surreal moment, Samantha thinks it might be some local high school teenager pulling an elaborate prank. Then, she sees the black Glock 18 with its extended magazine hanging from the black plastic grip, and all thoughts of pranks evaporate. Samantha's training kicks in, hit the silent alarm button beneath her counter. Her hand moves instinctively toward the red switch just in front of her trembling legs. But the gunman's attention snaps to her with supernatural precision, as if he's been watching her specifically.
"Don't even think about it. Hands where we can see them."
His voice carrying the calm authority of someone who's rehearsed this moment many times. This isn't random, this is choreographed. Her hands shoot up to join Mrs. Patterson's, who's whimpering something inaudible. Fear has exacerbated the crow's feet, wrinkles around her thin lips. A second robber enters with the casual confidence of someone arriving for a scheduled appointment. Identical black cap and surgical mask, but this one carries himself differently, more methodical, less theatrical. He moves directly toward Evan Miller, a roofer from Lafayette County who's unfortunately chosen this moment to lie face down on the marble floor while trying to fish his dropped car fob from under a chair.
"You raise your head again and I'll put a fragmenting bullet into your brain."
The second robber says, conversationally, looking down at Evan like he's commenting on the weather. The deafening crack of a pistol explodes through the lobby, and several customers scream instinctively. The acrid smell of gunpowder immediately invades the space, transforming the sterile bank atmosphere into something from a war zone.
"Everybody stay calm. No heroes today."
The voice belongs to a woman, the third member of their team. She's materialized near the administration offices as if she'd been there all along, wearing gray coveralls, sunglasses, and a white surgical mask that's actually inside out. Her presence completes the triangle of control 3 points, covering every angle of the lobby. Thomas looks up toward the ceiling, his mind automatically cataloging where the warning shot might have embedded itself, and what kind of repair costs he'll be explaining to corporate, assuming he lives to file the report. Behind the massive steel vault door, something impossible is happening. The Fowler branch vault is normally kept sealed during business hours, a 5,000-pound barrier between the public and the bank's reserves. But it's standing open, swiveling silently on hinges designed to last centuries, and the first robber is already moving toward it with 2 black duffel bags in hand. The female robber, her keys jingling and clinking in the sudden silence, hands off a ring of safe deposit box keys to the second gunman, who's also carrying 2 black duffel bags. The sound of those keys is almost musical against the backdrop of terrified breathing and muffled sobs.
Nobody move. Just a few more minutes. No one's losing their money today, just a minor inconvenience,
The woman repeats, raising her snub-nosed revolver toward the ceiling in a gesture that's somehow both reassuring and terrifying. The customers and employees who dare to glance up see her face, or rather, the absence of it, behind dark glasses and the inverted mask. Instinct guides the hostages now. Rule number 1 in a bank robbery: don't move. The first robber emerges from the vault, now struggling with 4 duffel bags that appear to contain the weight of small automobiles. The female robber takes 2 heavy bags from him in a movement so smooth it looks rehearsed, which, of course, it was. The precision is unsettling. This isn't desperation driving them. It's professionalism. The safe deposit box robber has strapped 2 heavy bags across his chest and is making his way toward the main entrance, his eyes scanning for last-minute complications or unexpected arrivals. The whole operation has taken less than 6 minutes. The gunpowder smell begins to dissipate, replaced by the familiar sense of brewed coffee and printer ink. A few heads dare to rise from the floor, turning slightly to track the robber's movements. Samantha watches the departing thieves through the tall windows, her heart hammering against her ribs like a caged bird. She waits 10 seconds, 20 seconds, making sure they're really gone and not testing to see who moves first. Only when they disappear around the corner does she finally press the red silent alarm button with her index finger. Better late than never, she thinks, though her hands are shaking so badly she's not sure she just pressed the alarm properly.
No, of course not. I just order it on Amazon. It's not worth trying to drive around the sticks out here. Nobody's going to carry it, and it's not worth the gas.
Mary
or
Rice
time.
stirs her pasta as it comes to a slow boil on the convection stovetop, the phone wedged between her shoulder and ear in the universal pose of multitasking women everywhere.
Green Foods carries something similar, but it's way too spicy, Mom. I can't even look at the jar. It'll just burn a hole right through it.
Walter, her 7-year-old chocolate lab, begins moving more excitedly around the kitchen, his entire rear end wiggling with anticipation. Mary glances down to assess the situation. Is Walter hungry, or does Walter need to go outside for more pressing business? He's looking up and sniffing at the stove, tongue-lolling, definitely hungry, she concludes. Mo, her flabby cat, has begun the relentless leg-rubbing campaign that signals dinner time, complete with increasingly desperate meows. She rubs against Mary's leg, then Walter, then the wooden chair leg, anything that might convey the urgent message that dinner is catastrophically
Mom,
late.
Walter and Mo Cat are going absolutely crazy on me right now. I've got to go. Love you. Yeah, bye-bye.
Mary sets her cell phone face down on the counter, too distracted to properly end the call. Her mother will figure it out on her end. With her hands finally free, Mary reaches down to scratch Walter behind the ears. His entire body erupts in joyful convulsions, tongue hanging out, panting with pure ecstasy. Mo's meows grow more competitive, trying to outdo Walter's enthusiasm while dodging his thrashing tail and back legs.
No, I know. I haven't forgotten about you two. No, I haven't. I love you both equally, even though you are a little stinkier, Walter. You know that.
Without warning, Mary's front door explodes inward. Blue wood fragments and brass screws fly into the living room like shrapnel, followed immediately by several fully equipped SWAT officers. Their faces are hidden behind protective goggles and black tactical masks. SWAT! Emblazoned in bold white letters across their bulletproof chest armor, in case the receiving end had any confusion about what was happening. Mo shoots to the top of the stairs, and out of sight before the first door screw hits the carpet. Walter bares his teeth and barks furiously at the dark invaders. He backs himself safely into the hallway, ready to follow Mo's exit strategy.
Police! Do not move!
A burly voice shouts at Mary,
Hands up!
who's screaming and dropping to her knees, hands shaking uncontrollably.
Martha Tricket, you are under arrest. We have a search warrant.
Announces Detective Weir, his commanding voice cutting through the chaos as Mary finds herself being forced face first to the floor, her arms handcuffed behind her back, her orange wool sweater now grimy with dog urine, dirt from the front yard, cat hair, breadcrumbs, saliva, and sweat.
You've got the wrong address.
Mary screams as she's lifted by two massive SWAT officers like a piece of luggage.
You've got the wrong house. My name is Mary, not Martha.
You're under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Detective Weir continues, staying just out of Mary's limited field of vision.
You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you.
Detective Weir watches from his observation chair, arms crossed over his chest. This is FBI territory now. He's strictly on the sidelines, monitoring the CCTV feed of the interview taking place in Interrogation Room 3. Mary sits in a well-worn office chair, her left wrist handcuffed to a thick bolt near the center of the metal table. Across from her sits Special Agent Kathy Y. from the Pittsburgh FBI office. Agent Y rises from her chair to check her phone before continuing a conversation that's been grinding on for over an hour.
We've recovered gunpowder residue from your hands. Your fingerprints are at the bank. You're on the bank surveillance camera. That's clearly you in the footage during the robbery.
Agent Y's voice carries the patient tone of someone who's interrogated the full gamut of usual suspects.
I don't work at a bank. I work from home, ever since my divorce from my husband.
Do you know a Dr. Michael who?
Yes, that was about 3 months ago. I was referred to him for weight loss.
Mary's confusion is evident.
Why are you asking about Doctor Who? That's private.
You were referred to a psychiatrist for weight loss?
Agent Y asks, genuinely intrigued.
I was. A friend of mine read an article suggesting that weight loss success has to happen here, not here.
She gestures toward her abdomen.
I went once. I don't remember much. Just a consultation, a free session. I guess later on I just realized I could not afford the treatment at the time.
Mary, we could not find a Dr. Michael who listed in the state medical license database, nor out of state for that matter. No psychiatrist by that name working anywhere in Pennsylvania.
Really?
Mary's voice is barely a whisper.
I'm trying to understand this. You have no criminal record, no association with criminals. You were recently divorced. It doesn't fit the profile of a bank heist participant.
Agent Y slides her tablet closer to Mary.
I want to show you another video. This is from a convenience store security camera across the street from Doctor Who's office. They use Black Delta security. So fortunately, we have several weeks of footage, which includes all of your trips.
Agent Y rotates the tablet toward Mary.
That's your silver Toyota going to Doctor Who's office. 3 times the first week, 3 visits the next week. A clear shot of your license plate. What do you remember about the robbery?
I don't know anything about a robbery.
Mary's voice rises with exasperation. She lets out a guttural scoff, hardly believing how utterly wrong this team of investigators has gotten everything. The idea that she could be a mastermind bank robber strikes her as comically absurd.
The other 2 suspects are nowhere to be found, but we tracked you down in less than 30 minutes. Unprecedented response time, I'm thinking. It's either clumsy or deliberate, and I think it's the latter. I have the sense that these 2 wanted you to get caught. A distraction of sorts. Help me to understand this, so I can help you.
Agent Y stands up and pushes her chair back against the scuffed white wall.
Experience tells me you'll feed us a line of BS and misdirection for as long as you can, giving precious time to your colleagues who are getting further away from capture with every minute. However you look at it, we have you. Here you are. We have all night to make sense of this. We're not limited like state police. This case is federal, and there's a whole team of agents looking for your friends who have done this before. This we are certain of.
Agent Y turns toward the only door.
I'm going to get a cup of coffee and a bag of chips. Feel free to call a lawyer if you want.
Officer Howe retrieves the keys from his slacks, closing and locking the door from the outside. Alone in the room, Mary finally allows herself to think clearly for the first time since the arrest. Identity theft. That had to be it. Her cousin Debbie had her ID stolen a few years back, and it took over 2 years for Debbie to get her life back in order. A complete nightmare, starting with endless phone calls, being placed on hold, paperwork, birth certificates, utility bills with her address, and bureaucratic runarounds. Had the same thing happened to her? Mary picks up her mobile phone to check if her mother or father have called since her arrest, but it dawns on her nobody knows she's in jail except maybe a few nosy neighbors. Calling her mom this late would only upset her. And what if she really does only get one call? Maybe she should contact a lawyer instead. Maybe Special Agent Y was not joking. Call a lawyer. Her heart is racing again. Mary sets her phone back down on the metal table to think it over. It rings immediately, less than 20 seconds after touching the metal surface. Detective Weir leans forward in his overloaded, creaking office chair, straining to hear better any conversation picked up by the hidden room microphone. Could this be Mary's accomplices? Would they really be that stupid? Stranger things have happened in his experience. Nah, he leans back in his chair, looks to his open bag of snacks, retrieving a handful with greasy fingers. A few nibbles escape his clutch, falling to the dirty, cream-colored carpet.
Hello? Yes, this is Mary. Yes, Mary Rice.
She pauses, listening.
Wow, Dr. Hugh, this is incredible timing. I'm at the police station. I've been arrested for bank robbery. They were asking about you just 2 minutes ago. Yes, I'm listening. Please, yes, go ahead.
Mary's frantic fidgeting and nervous chatter slowly dissolve into calm, cold silence. She sits perfectly upright, the confusion and fear draining from her face. Her nervous smile disappears, entirely replaced by vacant neutrality. She says nothing. A quick movement of her finger ends the call. With robotic mechanical precision, Mary smashes her phone against the hard edge of the interrogation table, sending plastic fragments scattering across the metal surface. Electronics ricochet off the painted concrete walls. Mary extracts the SIM card from a larger chunk on the table and begins chewing it methodically between her molars, like a great white shark working through a seal. She sweeps the remaining pieces under her jacket with robotic efficiency. Detective Weir leaps from his chair, shouting.
What the hell?
He fumbles out of the CCTV room, but it's a full minute's journey through the building's corridors to the interrogation block. Special Agent Y returns through the door with 2 tall paper coffee cups, one for herself and one for Mary. Officer Howe peers behind her with his keys, removing his keys from the door and holding it open for the 2 to enter. He closes the door once inside the room.
Thank you, Scott.
Agent Y says as she seats herself, once again near Mary. Officer Howe moves to a chair on the far side of the room, positioning himself as a quiet guardian while keeping a clear line of sight to Mary. Agent Y lowers both coffee cups to the metal table.
I have an extra one,
She says, sliding the lidded cup closer to Mary in a gesture of casual hospitality. Mary grasps the coffee cup and, with what appears to be an accidental movement, lets it tumble to the floor in front of her chair. The tight-fitting lid keeps most of the steaming coffee contained, but the cup lands with a soft plop and begins leaking onto the institutional carpet near Mary's feet.
Oh, crap. How goofy.
Mary says, her voice carrying genuine surprise and embarrassment. Agent Y, still standing near Mary, instinctively bends down fully to retrieve the fallen cup. Mary's right hand moves with lightning precision. She unlatches the hammer guard on Y's holster with her thumb and extracts the service weapon in one fluid motion. Agent Y instinctively raises a defensive arm, but Mary drops back into her chair and drives her foot hard into Y's stomach, sending the agent stumbling backward against the wall. The first gunshot is deafeningly loud in the small concrete room. The 9mm round enters. Perfectly centered in Agent Y's forehead, the projectile nearly avoids the brain entirely, nearly obliterating the anterior cerebral artery, drastically raising intracranial pressure, forming a fountain of hot arterial blood which jets out comically from Y's forehead, dousing Mary, the wall, chairs, and the metal table in runny finger of deep red. Agent Y slides down the wall and crumples into a deep shock. Mary instantly swivels in her chair, the pistol still in her right hand, and fires a second 9mm round into Officer Howe. He's already pulling his service weapon from the holster, but he is several fractions of a second too slow, fatally behind Mary in this life and death race. The fragmenting bullet catches him squarely in the forehead before his gun clears the holster. Howe is not so lucky. The jacketed bullet catches bone and unravels, tearing through his right brain hemisphere, sweeping countless neurons toward the black hole that is now forming in the back of his skull. Still seated in her chair, Mary raises the 9mm to her right temple, finessing her wrist subtly to ensure the trajectory of the bullet ensures maximum brain tissue is traversed. Her index finger sends the third and final shot. Detective Weir reaches the door to room 3 just as the echo of the final gunshot fades. He fumbles with his building keys, his hands shaking from adrenaline, and the desperate sprint through the building which has left him panting for oxygen. The door flies open to reveal a choking fog of gunpowder,
Oh my God.
the metallic stench of hot blood, the carpet soaked with coagulating gore, pieces of black plastic, white bone, and brain tissue. Agent Y is slumped against the wall to his left, her head down. She is making the unmistakable gurgling sounds of agonal breathing, the body's final, reflexive attempts to sustain life. He hesitates at the door, unsure where to step or who to help first, or if indeed rendering first aid is even possible. A smoke alarm begins shrieking in the corridor behind him as the dirty gun smoke escapes from the top of the door threshold like a phantom. Black boots pound down the hallway toward the unfolding carnage in interrogation room 3.
2, 1.